Okay, everybody, I know I'm late to the party for this, but I have just finished watching Marvel Zombies, and the show is actually very good, so here's my ranking and what I think about the show. So this show takes place 5 years after the events of the What If episode, and the show opens up with Kate Bishop, Ironheart, and Miss Marvel struggling to survive, but then the three of them decide that they are going to leave New York and go across the country to see if they find any other survivors. But they end up coming across two zombies, which is Captain Marvel and Icarus from the Eternals. And Kate Bishop immediately dies by Captain Marvel by getting eviscerated, and Ironheart, she gets bit and stays behind so that way Ms. Marvel can get away, and that's when Blade Knight comes in. But Blade, Ms. Marvel, Ironheart, and Kate Bishop were the only ones that were the survivors in the show. There are plenty of others right here. There's Shang-Chi, Katie, who's over there in the corner, Red Guardian, Death Dealer, Ms. Marvel, of course, Jimmy Woo, Kate Bishop, but she's dead now, and Yelena Belova, Spider-Man, Black Panther, Ant-Man, a few sorcerers who are like Doctor Strange, and there were like some other widows like Yelena Belova, and then there was Baron Zemo, I believe that's how you say his name. Then there was Valkyrie, one of the Asgardians, and Thor, who is in the show surprisingly, along with Groot and Rocket, but they bite the dust, of course. And as for the zombies, there was Okoye, Abomination, Captain America over here in the corner. I don't know how he's still alive after he got sliced in half. Captain Marvel, who's also up in the corner. Then Hawkeye and Ghost, and up in the corner, Zombie Scarlet Witch, who is the queen of the dead. And then, of course, along that, there's Icarus as well. But along the show, some of the zombies do end up dying immediately. Like Captain America immediately gets killed by Red Guardian by getting crushed by him. Namor, I forgot to mention him, he gets his head blown up by Ms. Marvel, which was pretty crazy. And it was, like, no wonder Disney Plus had to put the TVMA rating. Like, this show was brutal. Like, the deaths were so brutal in this show. Not to mention also, like, this part right here where Spider-Man's just running across the big army of zombies at the end and just yanking their heads off was so badass. I've never seen Spider-Man do anything like this before. Like, this is by far, like, the craziest Spider-Man. Like, this is the first ever R-rated Spider-Man. But what really sucks to know, though, is that after the events of the What If episode, when Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Ant-Man fight Zombie Thanos, unfortunately, Zombie Thanos does get his hands on the Mind Stone, and Black Panther has no choice but to take him out with him, and they go down this hole in Wakanda that Zombie Thanos made, and Black Panther ends up dying alongside Thanos, and the Infinity Stones get destroyed. And then I even had another theory for Marvel Zombies, is if Hulk was going to make a return since we didn't know what happened to him at the end of the What If episode. And surprisingly, he does come back, but he becomes Infinity Hulk as he absorbs all the power of the Infinity Stones, and he becomes this. Like, this man straight up just punched Zombie Abomination and immediately killed him and wiped out a big chunk of the army of zombies at the end. Like, this dude is insane. Like, this is possibly by far the strongest Hulk ever in the entire MCU, probably. But one thing that I do have to say about this show was that possibly one of the saddest deaths was Death Dealer. I love Death Dealer. He was a pretty cool character in this show. He's silent as he is in the Shang-Chi movies. He is so badass in the show, but unfortunately in this part where he tries to kill a Asgardian zombie, that zombie breaks his arm and he tries to roundhouse kick him, but then the Asgardian zombie breaks his leg and straight up just slams Death Dealer onto the ground like it was nothing. And what sucked after, too, was that right after Death Dealer died, Jimmy died. And in the show, we could definitely tell that Jimmy had a strong bond with Death Dealer, because he was very upset seeing Death Dealer die in front of his eyes. Like, it really sucked, though, that Jimmy died right after Death Dealer. And Jimmy's death was by far more brutal than Death Dealer's. This man was torn apart by zombies. Like, literally, limb from limb, he was torn apart by zombies. But the ending is also pretty confusing, too, because at the end of the show, Captain Marvel is supposedly living her normal life again with Kate and Ironheart, but it's not. It's just an illusion caused by Zombie Wanda. So this leads me to think that there might possibly be a second season, maybe, for this show, depending on how well this show goes. So, I don't know. Maybe we might get a second season for the show. I'm not sure, but I do wish this show was a bit longer and it wasn't just 4 episodes. Like, that's pretty short for this show. I feel like maybe I would have been happy if we at least had like maybe 6. That I would have been happy with that. But overall, though, this show was good. It was a good way to recap what happens after the What If episode. So this show, in my opinion, is getting a 10 out of 10. But Disney, please do the right thing. Give us a second season so we can see what happens after. And plus, also, we don't know exactly what happens to the other characters that are still alive. Like Spider-Man, he was grabbed by Zombie Wasp and was about to be eaten, while the others were like getting surrounded and stuff. But in my next video, I will break down every death in Marvel Zombies. So what do you guys think about the show? Let me down below, and I will see you all in my next video.